All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Matt Solomon here, joined by the one and only Rick Solomon. Rick, great to have you with us today. Very nice to be with you. Today, we're going to be diving into a very interesting topic, something that's not always spoken about in the profession, but something that is really underneath a lot of the challenges and the struggles and also the success that firms are having. So today, we're going to be talking about confidence. And we're going to talk about confidence in terms of stepping into the advisory role with your clients and how confidence can affect how you sell, how you price, how you deliver, and being able to even formalize the advisory work as opposed to just give it away. So Rick, again, great to have you with us. I'd love to get your first take on this. Talk about confidence and some of the things that and the issues that you see with confidence when accountants try to formalize the advisory role with their clients.
It's actually a fascinating question because what I see and observe with accountants is when you ask an accountant or a bookkeeper, how confident are you an advisor? Do you help your clients? I mean, without exception, yeah. I help my clients. I give them advice. I help them. But when it comes to having the confidence to step into that role, to sell that role, to price it properly, to engage in that role, they don't have the confidence to do it. They do not have the confidence. Now, all of a sudden, because there's some structure and process around it and they're getting paid for it, all of a sudden confidence goes from, 98% to 5%. Like, oh my God, I don't think I can do it. And there's a high price that accountants pay for that, a really high price. Because what happens is we end up giving away the most valuable part of what we have to offer, which is our ability to confidently stand as that advisor and help clients achieve better results. We give it away. And what do we sell? We sell the straw. We're giving away gold. We're selling straw, which is the compliance services. So there's a very high price to pay when we lack that confidence and don't stand in that role as a valued advisor.
Absolutely. And you talk about the price, and it shows up in a few ways. So there's actually the dollars. So when you're not really charging for this stuff and you're giving it away, what happens is you're leaving money on the table. And so price from that perspective, there's a real tangible amount of, selling compliance work that's usually based on hourly fees, or stepping into formalizing the advisory role and charging for value, charging for impact, charging for the results and things like that. So on one side of it, we see accountants leaving money on the table. And what happens is they wonder why they're struggling. Because on paper, it looks like their firm should be extremely profitable and that they're charging a few $100s an hour for their time and all this stuff. But then when it comes down to it at the end of the month, it's kind of like, why am I still struggling? Why is it why am I paying myself less than I want to? Why is that, why am I struggling to pay my employees or whatever it is? So there's still, they say there's a little bit more months left at the end of the money. And sometimes we see that happen with accountants. And on the other side of that, what we're seeing is that for those who are not formally stepping into this advisory role, for those who don't have the confidence to whether, can I deliver it and what do I need to do? And am I worth the money and all these things, those types of fears and those lacks of confidence, what's happening is that you're seeing your business clients start to hire consultants, start to hire other people. So not only are you taking the hit, and you could serve these people at a level way beyond what a lot of these consultants that they're paying top dollar for, but you're struggling to even have that conversation because the confidence isn't there to say, you know what, I may be able to help you. Let's talk about that. So not only are your clients spending the money on this kind of help, they're spending it with somebody else. And meanwhile, you know a lot more than they do about your client's business. And so it's really tough to see that. And so Rick, I know, I just want to get your perspective on that and interested to hear what else you have to say in terms of how accountants lack of confidence is getting in the way of really having the lives and the practices they want.
Well, I think one key point, Matt, is that you are absolutely right. Business owners, the clients we are serving, are not getting the help they need because we're not taking that stand. But as you pointed out very accurately, we're suffering as well. Our income is suffering. And when I ask accountants, and I like asking this question because it helps people become more aware, do you feel you're being fairly paid, adequately paid for the value you bring? It's rare that I hear a yes. My clients don't appreciate my value. They don't see my value. We have to own that. Here's the unfortunate reality. Clients, business owners see accountants and bookkeepers as a commodity. They see compliance services as a commodity. Anyone can provide it. So they see us as interchangeable. That's a definition of a commodity. And that's why there's fee pressure. And that's why we feel fee pressure. When we don't take our stand as an advisor, we fail to differentiate ourselves. We fail to serve clients in the way that they need to be served, which is frustrating. They don't appreciate our value. And all of those things sort of come together. I'm reminded of a conversation I had not long ago with an accountant named Dan. He called me and he said, I really want to step into the advisor role. I really need to do this. I said, great, Dan, tell me why. Now, I know why he should, but I wanted to know what his thinking was. So he said, I've been thinking about it for a long time. I go to seminars, I'm reading articles. Everybody's saying, this is the direction of the profession. This is the role you have to play. Yeah, you have to play. And I'm thinking, yeah, I need to do that. I absolutely have to do that. But I didn't do it. He said, and then I went to visit one of my clients, and the client in the conversation said, by the way, Dan, I'm really excited to tell you something. I just hired a consultant, and this guy's really going to help me grow my business and become more profitable. And he said he was kind of taken aback. And he said, well, what exactly is he going to do? Well, I've been struggling with cash flow. He's going to help me improve my cash flow. He's going to look at profitability. He's going to help me look at things in the numbers in my business that I really need to pay more attention to. So Dan said, I said to this client, I can do that stuff. I can do those things for you. And the client said, I never knew that. We never talked about it. And then Dan said to the client, how much are you paying this guy? He said, well, it's a lot. The client didn't want to tell him. He said, no, I'm going to see it anyway. I go over your books. What are you paying this guy? He said, $15,000 a month. And Dan just shook his head. And he realized the opportunity that he was missing. And he said, it's not just his client. So he said, yes, it's scary. Yes, I realize there's things I have to learn to do it, but I'm no longer willing to miss those opportunities to help my clients and make more money. And I honestly believe that, I don't know the numbers, at least half, maybe more of your business clients want and need more from you. There's this opportunity to serve them in a bigger way, to have a different life, but we're so busy doing other things and lacking the confidence to step into that role that we don't do it. And we pay a very, very heavy price for that, a very heavy price.
Yeah, and it's a tragic story, but it's such a common story. And, I ask those of you who are watching, how many of your clients do you think are needing some additional services? How many of your clients need some kind of value from you that you're not providing them or that you're not communicating clearly? And do you want to sit with that, knowing that they're just out there waiting and hungry for somebody to help them? Meanwhile, you're holding the key to be able to give them what they need. And, on one side, when we're delivering the compliance work, we're constantly at risk every day of losing clients. I think something like 74% of business clients want to, are open to changing their accountants for, better prices and things like that on the compliance side. So 74% of your clients are sitting there, basically vulnerable to moving somewhere else. And on the other side of that, there's people out there actively looking for consultants and advisors. And meanwhile, you're just sitting there wondering why you're struggling sometimes with money and why you're working your butt off doing all this work. You're sitting on the gold mine. You are sitting on it. And it's just waiting for you to move forward and step into your confidence. So, and it's amazing to see just the opportunity that's in front of people. And when we start working with accountants, one thing that we start with, just because it's easiest, is looking at the existing client base. And basically every single time we see there's an incredible opportunity right there. And there's a couple things you need to do, and I want to talk to you guys about the solution now, but there's a couple things you need to do to turn your existing clients and even to bring in new business that's advisory work. So we're talking about not just doing the compliance work, but formalizing the informal information that we give away to our clients for free or for part of the hourly services. And there's two major things that everybody must do to do that. Number one is you have to step into the identity. You have to step into the identity of being the valued advisor. Truly step into that by recognizing your value, by recognizing your worth, by realizing that business owners are so hungry for the knowledge that you may be taking for granted, and that there's a major gap between what they know and what you know, and they need what you have. So number one, you have to be willing to step into that valued advisor role. And then the next piece is, it's great to wear the hat. It's great to be in that position. It's great to feel the power of that. but there's another part. You can't just feel it. You have to do something about it. And the key that we've seen, the key piece that you need to do to take, your client's need and your ability and your powers, yes, step into the role, but the next thing you have to do is to be able to communicate that. You need to learn how to price correctly. You need to learn how to sell that value in a way that is mutual, in a way that serves your clients at the highest level, in a way that's full of integrity, and you need to be able to deliver that. And if you can't communicate that piece of how you're going to do that, if you're not clear on it, then there's no way that the client's going to move forward with you in this type of engagement that they desperately need from you. And every day that you spend not doing that, their pain is getting bigger, and they're looking for somebody else to do it. Whether that's cheaper compliance work or getting a consultant, they're waiting for somebody. So Rick, I'd love your perspective in terms of stepping into the role and in terms of being able to communicate, because I know you spend a lot of years teaching accountants how to do just that.
Yeah, absolutely. So think about it like this. When you approach an accounting project, whether it's financial statement preparation or tax prep or whatever, do you go about it in a haphazard manner? Little of this, little of that, or do you have a process, a structure? It's the same thing with being an advisor. We can't just give it away haphazardly on a reactive basis when the client raises a question or has an issue. We need process. We need structure. And it's very learnable. It's not even nearly as complex as learning accounting or tax technical issues, So it's learning the process. How do I have those conversations? How do I structure the engagement, the relationship, and all of those pieces? And it's the same thing about having a conversation with clients, because you could be the most proactive, awesome, butt-kicking, valued advisor in the world, but if the client doesn't experience that in the first conversation, you don't get hired. They don't see that value. So you have to get those communication skills, and it's very learnable again. And if you're sitting there saying to the client, well, we're advisors and we're going to help you, and you're explaining and convincing and all that, you lose before you start, because everybody says I'm an advisor. Everybody says I'll help you in your business. You've got to learn how to structure that conversation, how to frame it, how to conduct it, how to begin it, how to get the real issues to the surface so the client is experiencing you as that advisor in that meeting. And they're feeling this compulsion, like, I got to work with this person. They get me. They know what's going on. They see what I need and they can help me get there. And it is a very learnable process, but it begins by recognizing the need that that's your role, that's your identity, that's what you have to step into. And the reality is confidence in that role. Yeah, you've got to step into that identity, but you only build it by doing it. You're not going to get good at riding a two-wheeler bike unless you're on the bike. You can get some fundamentals, but you got to get your butt up on the bike and in the seat. Then you got to start pedaling. And then you say, oh, okay, I can do this. Not that hard. You find your balance. It's the same thing with being an advisor, but you have to begin by understanding that's the role you must play for your client's sake, for your sake, for your future, and your family and your firm, and everything is riding on you stepping into this empowered, valuable role. One of the biggest reasons clients continue to see us as bean counters is because we see ourselves that way. So we have to make that shift first. Clients will catch up pretty quickly because, like you said, Matt, it's what they want, it's what they need, it's what they hunger for. And we see evidence of that every day. We see accountants making that transition, stepping into that role, and then they get on a call with us and say, you won't believe what happened. And I'll say, yeah, no, I do believe what happened, because you're stepping into the role clients have been wanting. So it's not a shock to me to hear how excited the client was and how they agreed to a price that you wouldn't have even imagined possible 2 weeks ago. And the client is thrilled to pay it. So we see it all the time, and it's wonderful. It's exciting. The frustrating part for me is that so many accountants think about it and don't do it. But that's my own issue.
Yeah. And I get it, Rick. And so on one side, we have, we may not have the confidence to really formalize this. We may think that our clients view us a certain way. And really the reality is that your clients view you a certain way because that's what you've created for them. They've accepted the reality you've handed to them. When you pick up the phone and answer the question, even though you shouldn't have, or when you give the advice away for free, or when you do this or that, or whatever it is, you've set up the dynamic in the relationship. And it's up to you to change that. Because as you know, when you give advice away for free, even though you think it's a nice thing to do, and even though you just want to help and blah, 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 when you give your stuff away for free, how many times are they 100% committed to implementing? How many times are they 100% committed to doing what you said that will help them? And it's not there. And so as you start to formalize these advisory services, what you're really doing is you're deciding to go to the next level of service. And I don't mean, just helping clients, but I mean serving your community, serving your client base. So when you step into that role and you start charging formally for this advisory role, they're going to pay for it, and it's going to put their butt on the line. And when their butts are on the line and you have the right type of communication in place to make sure it's mutual, to make sure the expectations on their end are very clear too, in terms of who you're going to be working with and who you're going to be accepting in this new role, when that stuff is in place, the results that your clients are going to get are probably better than you've ever seen. And we see that consistently. And what's wonderful is because their results are so good, they're very happy to pay you high fees. And what you see on the compliance side, or when you give away your value, you constantly get the pushback on your fees, or you constantly feel like maybe I shouldn't be charging this, or you're constantly negotiating against yourself, or whatever it is. And when you formalize that role, the value is there on such a deep level that clients are happier. And we hear this consistently. My clients are happier to pay me $5,000 a month than they were to pay me a few $100s an hour for the work I was doing, because I'm helping them now. And the other thing is, when we're spread so thin doing all this other work and informally giving advisory work away, we're giving everybody B- service or C-level service as opposed to A service. And so you're spread too thin and you're not able to help people. And so what Rick and I were sharing with you today is what we've seen. And this is not something we've just seen today or last year. Rick has been doing this work for 25 years. And myself for a little less than that. But we see that there's two major pieces, and this is what I shared with you before. You have to be willing to step into that role, into that identity of the valued advisor, to understand your knowledge and be willing to step and own that. And the other piece of that is you have to learn how to communicate correctly, because if that's off, it's not going to work. And those are the two things that we see. And what happens as a result of that, we'll see people get premium prices on a monthly basis. So the dependency on tax season for revenue, the push against the deadlines all the time, that stuff goes away. And what you have is consistent cash flow, consistent clients, easier work throughout the year as opposed to big pushes and big crashes. And we'll see clients all the time, going out there and getting $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month engagements because they've learned how to communicate and they own their value. It's really that simple. And so, before we go, if anybody wants help stepping into that role, because it is a process. If you want some support, if you want to have a conversation, let us know. We've actually set up in this chat in the description of the video, you can set up a call with us. And essentially what we'll do is we'll spend 45 minutes to an hour with you on the phone. We'll dive deep into your business and we'll help you put together the strategy to make that transformation. And we'll suggest how that works. And number one, we're doing this because we want to give back, because we appreciate you in our community. And the other thing is that we realize that if you get value from this, you might want some of our help implementing it. And so we're happy to do that too, but there's no pressure, no obligation to do that. We just want to connect. We want to help you come up with a strategy because we've seen it before, and we want to help you get to the next level. So if you want to, click on the link. You'll get to our calendar page, set up an appointment with Rick or myself, and then you'll be asked to fill out a short application. Should take about 3 minutes, but I encourage you to do that. It really might be the best 45 minutes you've ever spent working on your business. And so with that, Rick, I appreciate having you today. It's wonderful to have you with us. And thank you everybody for participating and enjoying the conversation with us. If you have questions, comments, put them in the question box. If you want to book a call, I really suggest you do that. And so thank you guys for being with us. Rick, thank you so much and have a great day, everybody.